Hello, I'm Daniel Fitzpatrick, and today we're going to be learning a beginner version of the Star-Spangled Banner on the banjo. And so if you haven't already, be sure to head on to my Patreon account where you can download the tablature and follow along with this video. And so first thing we're going to do is take a listen to the melody of the tune and see how this lays on the neck of the banjo. All right, now that we've done that, let's check out the arrangement that we're going to be learning together, and then we'll have a step-by-step, walkthrough of this. Let's get started learning the beginner version of the Star-Spangled Banner here. So to start off with, we have just mainly open strings for our first couple of measures here. So that's pretty nice. We're mainly going to be focusing on our right hand and the rhythms here. So speaking of rhythms, our first two notes, our pickup notes, are a little bit of a syncopated rhythm. And so that's, talking about the dotted eighth and the 16th there. And so to feel this rhythm, all you need to think is 3-1. It's a little bit of a bouncy thing, da, 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 right? That's all there is to it. So I'm going to play at the beginning here, the first couple of measures, just all the open string notes here. So go ahead and try this along with me if you can. 1, 2, 3, 1. And so that shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. And after our syncopated rhythm, as you heard, we just had straight eighths. So those just flow nice and evenly after each other. Let's go ahead and try that again together. 1, 2. All right, so the next part, we're going to actually need our left hand here. So let's go ahead and get it up to the high B, and that's going to be our index finger on the 9th fret of our D string here. And then the next note we need to prepare is our A on our B string. That's 10th fret on that B string. And we're just going to essentially play a backward roll over this along with our syncopated rhythm. And again, that rhythm is just going to be 3-1. And now moving on, I want you to look ahead to a couple of our chords. Third beat of our next measure, we're going to have a partial A chord. I'm just going to use index and middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G and B strings here. And then the next chord we're going to need to prepare is our partial D major, and that's going to be our index on the A, our ring finger on the F sharp, and that's the A is on our G string, and the F sharp is on our D string. So let's go ahead and try this little section, starting on the high B here. 1, 2. So that's all that is. Let's try that section again, starting on the high B and ending on the partial D major chord. 1, 2. Alright, now moving on, the next position we're going to need to think about is what's called 7th position. So that means our index finger is at the 7th fret, and we're going to have our tip of the finger, 7th fret on the G string. That's going to make it a D. And now moving on, looking ahead to the beginning of the second line here, you'll notice we have 9th fret on the D string. That's a nice little B. And then you'll see there's a lot of 7th frets. So I want you to be prepared to hinge and bar that index finger to get all those 7th frets there. So I'm going to start at beat 3 on the first line, the last measure of the first line, beat 3 on the open D. I want you to be prepared to hinge that index finger on the 7th fret. So here we go. 1, 2. Yeah, so that's all there is to that. Let's try it again. 1, 2. Alright, now the next part, we're going to have to use a little bit of a different fingering. So second measure, second line, third beat's where we're at. And so we're starting on the E, that's going to be the 9th fret with our ring finger on the G string. And then we're going to take our index finger onto the 7th fret of the B string here. And we're just going to essentially hold these down just as long as we're playing it, get this nice melodic sound. So that's going to be E, F sharp, G here. And so I'm going to play from the second measure, third beat, the second line until the end of the line here to show you this little section. And that's essentially all there is to the A section of this piece, because after that we repeat all that we've played. So let's go ahead and try that together nice and slowly. 1, 2. Let's go ahead and try it twice in a row here. 1, 2. The entire A section. So we've already learned half the piece. Why don't you look at that? So now for the B section, we're again going to find this high B on the 9th fret of our D string with our index finger. And this is going to be a little trickier because we're going to be playing a little higher up on the neck and staying around here in this 9th position. So first spot we're going to take a look at is that third line, the third beat, that first measure going to where we have these circled notes. And by the way, those circled notes with the stem, they're just a half note. So that means they're going to be 2 beats long. So I'm going to just play that little section and show it to you. So as you notice, I did this entirely with index finger. So we're starting that 9th position. We play our syncopated pattern, the 3, a 1. And then our next left-hand position, we bar 2 strings at the 10th fret for our A and C, and then we bar at the B and D on the 12th fret there. It's just a nice sound. And if you want to, have some real fun with this, instead of holding down the strings, you can play these as harmonics. They're the same sound, or same notes, just a different tone. Real fun, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and try this little section again. 1, 2. so hopefully that doesn't seem too difficult now. Now the next section, we're going to have a little bit of a more melodic run, meaning we're stepping down the scale. We start on the C with our index finger, 10th fret D string, and then our ring finger is going to be ready over the B string on the 12th fret for, just a higher B. And then after that, we step down to our A with our index finger. It's going to look like this. And as you notice with the right hand, I start with my middle finger, and then my thumb comes up to that B string. My index then takes over for the B string. So it's just that 3 of 1. Now our next left-hand position is going to have our index finger slide down to the 8th fret. That's going to be a G on that B string. And then we're going to have the B on our D string with our middle finger, 9th fret, as you can see. And then when we get back to the bar 10s, I'm just going to use my index finger. So that little section is going to look like this. 1, 2. And as you can hear and see by following along on the tab down below, that I'm just putting that G string in between each hit in that measure. So let's go ahead and try that again. 1, 2. Great. Now our next section, we're still going to have that C on our D string, and we're going to have our ring finger come down on the B, the 12th fret on our B string here. And we're going to have a little bit of a backwards roll pattern for our right hand. That's meaning we're going middle, index, thumb for a lot of this. And so let's go ahead and try playing from the C here, going all the way to where we have the barred 7s, as you can see right here. So let's try this. 1, 2. Yeah. So hopefully that wasn't too tough. Let's try that again. 1, 2. All right. So going on, we now again have this position. This might look somewhat familiar from the A section. We have our E and our F sharp again in this mixed roll pattern. And so then after that, the thing to watch out for is going to be our partial A chord, a C sharp, and an E. That's our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the B string, index on the 2nd fret of the low D string. And so let's go ahead and try this little snippet as well. 1, 2. Yeah, so that's pretty nice because it's all 8th notes and just a couple quarters at the end. So moving on, we're getting to the last, big phrase of the piece. We're going to start with a lot of open string, 8th notes. That's going to be pretty easy. But the next little position we're going to need to hold is this F sharp with our index finger, E with our ring finger, C with our middle. And again, that's index on the 4th fret of the D string, ring on the 5th fret of the B string, middle on the 5th fret of the G string. And that's the 5th line, 2nd measure here, if you're following along with the tabs printed out. So here we go. 1, 2. All right, yeah, so maybe, we got that pretty well. Maybe there's a couple things that tripped us up. One thing that might be a little tricky is right where we play these notes, the F sharp, E, and the C. We have we start on the D string down here, we go to the B string, the G string, and then high G string. Yeah, you might notice that's a little tough to play with your right hand, so I would recommend bringing that thumb up to the B string. Index is then going to take the G string, and then your thumb can take the G string. More like this. Just like that. So that same section is going to look like this. 1, 2. So that's that section there. And now, in the next section, we're going back to our 9th position, meaning index fingers planted at that 9th fret. Now our middle finger is going to the A, that's the 10th fret, the B string. Index goes to the B, 9th fret, D string. And then middle is going to take the C, that's the 10th fret on the D string here. And then we're going to kind of do the opposite pattern there. And then the next fret we're going to need to be ready for is we're just going to slide our middle down to the 8th fret. That's the G. and then we're going to have our index finger, rest on the F sharp, that 7th fret on the B string. And then for your right hand, I want you to we're going to start with that index finger, and then we're going to pluck with our middle, and then we're going to use our index finger again, and then we go to our middle, and then our index finger, thumb, index, middle, index. So in motion, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3. Alright, now to conclude the final phrase of the piece here, that's the pick up to the very last line to the end of this arrangement. We're going to start on our open Ds, and I'm going to start with my right hand, middle finger, and I'm going to have my index finger on my right hand ready to strike right afterwards here. And so now, as you can see, the very beginning measure of the bottom line, we have essentially a forward roll. And then this next part might be a little tricky, but we're going to go to the A on our G string. That's on the 14th fret, and that's going to be our pinky on that 14th fret, the G string. And then we're going to have our middle finger ready on the B of our B string. So, that sounded confusing. That's just the 12th fret on the B string here. And now our index finger is going to be ready on the 10th fret of the D string. And we're just going to have this little melodic run, right? And that's still a forward roll pattern with thumb, index, middle. And then after the last C, the 10th fret on our D string, we're going to play a high D. And I'm going to use my index finger on that. So my right hand's just going to look like thumb, index, middle, index. And so let's go ahead and try this little snippet here, starting the pick up to the very last line. 1, 2, 3, and 1. Yeah, let's do that again. Hopefully we had our fingers in this position here and we're ready to go. 1, 2. Alright, now this next section we're going to go back to this 9th position where our middle finger is on the A, that's 10th fret of the B string, our index is on the B, 9th fret of the D string here, and we have another little forward roll snippet. Right, that's all it is. And then afterwards, we're just going to have the 10th fret on our D string, the 10th fret on our B string, and these are chord notes, and so it's just going to be C, A, and then our high G. And then you'll notice that the very last thing we play is 4 notes at a time, and we have these brackets around them. That means these are natural harmonics. So instead of holding these 4 strings down at the 12th fret and strumming normally, we would actually just lightly touch right over the 12th fret, and you want to make sure you're right over the metal here. And then as soon as you feel a vibration when you strum, you lift your finger up. And I find this is best if you try to almost do like an inchworm feel where the top of your finger comes up before the back of your finger. Kind of a rolling motion. And you want it to follow the strum. All right, let's go ahead and try the last line, second measure, third beat together. 1, 2. Alright, so those are the final notes of the piece. Let's go ahead and try the whole last line in its entirety here. So that's going to be starting from the pickup to the last line with our open Ds. 1, 2. So there you have it. Now that we've gone through the entire piece together, let's try applying the whole thing in its entirety together. So here's the whole beginner version of the Star-Spangled Banner from beginning to the end. 1, 2. Alright, so there you have it. Hope you enjoyed learning that with me today, and if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to let me know down in the comments what you'd like to learn next.